In the silent void, the blip of returning life on the long-dead radars of the Orione system defense grid sent a shiver through the cosmos. Not just any signal, but the heartbeat of Earth's legendary fleet, led by the presumed dead war hero, Captain Alara Nox. Once whispers of her deeds echoed through starlit bars and shadowed alleys, painting her as both savior and specter. Now, reality confirmed myth as the fleet, shining like a phoenix reborn from cosmic ashes, emerged from the warp gate. The vast expanse of space near the Orione system was streaked with the brilliant trails of starships re-entering real space. Among them, the flagship Dreadnought, a colossal vessel of sleek design and daunting firepower, took the lead. Its hull, scarred from battles long past, gleamed under the light of distant suns, a testament to survival and defiance. Captain Alara Nox stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic displays that painted a real-time picture of her home system. The weight of her return did not escape her. The Orione system, once a beacon of human achievement, now lay fractured under the rule of a tyrant, her former comrade, General Morixfell. This star system, with its planets like scattered jewels across the black velvet of space, was where she had vowed to die defending. And yet, fate had other plans, steering her back to these stars, not as a martyr, but as a harbinger of reclamation. Alara's gaze hardened as the fleet began its calculated approach. Her crew, hand-picked survivors of the Great Galactic War, moved with a silent efficiency that spoke of years in limbo, years spent preparing for this moment. They were ghosts of a war thought ended, now returned to challenge the chaos that had claimed their homes. The air on the bridge was thick with anticipation, and the low hum of the ship's core, it vibrated through the deck plates, a constant reminder of the power at their command. Alara felt it in her bones, the simmering thrill of battle, mixed with a cold resolve. She knew the stakes. Failure meant not just her death, but the fall of humanity's last hope for unity. Her first officer, Lieutenant Mara Selden, approached, her expression a mirror of determination. "All systems are green, Captain. The fleet is in formation. We're ready to begin operations on your command." Alara nodded, her hand briefly closing into a fist at her side. "Signal the fleet. It's time to remind the galaxy who we are," she ordered, her voice steady and commanding. As the ships advanced, cloaked in the darkness of space yet undeniable as a dawn, Alara's thoughts briefly turned to the people of Oriones. She wasn't just fighting for abstract ideals or distant political powers. She fought for the minor on Delos who couldn't afford to flee, for the children born into a regime they didn't choose, for families torn apart by a war that never truly ended. This was personal, a fight to restore not just order, but hope. Her resolve was clear as the fleet moved silently towards the heart of the system, a phantom armada ready to reclaim its place in the stars. The Orione system, with all its memories of past glory and present pain, was the stage for this first act of redemption. And for Alara, it was either the beginning of peace or the end of everything she had ever fought for. The celestial dance of the Orione system's many moons cast long shadows over Captain Alara Nox's return as she navigated the political labyrinth now governing human space. Her flagship, the Dreadnought, hummed with an almost palpable tension, mirroring the charged atmospheres of the planets it silently orbited. The stakes were laid bare beneath the endless starlit canvas, a testament to both opportunity and overwhelming danger. As Alara initiated contact with various planetary leaders, her communications echoed across space, resonant and full of the old authority that the Terran Galactic Federation once wielded. Yet, the responses varied. Some were tinged with hope, others with stark skepticism, and a few with outright hostility. The scars left by the Federation's collapse ran deep, skepticism rooted in the ruins of broken promises and lost battles. Meanwhile, General Morixfell, watching from his stronghold on Orione's prime, perceived Alara's diplomatic overtures as a direct challenge to his rule. With a cruel smile, he traced the glowing lines of star maps that sprawled across his war room's vast table. Each pulse of light from returning scout ships brought news of the fleet's movements, and with it, the tightening of his grip around the throat of rebellion. Morix was a tactician as much as he was a tyrant. Utilizing his extensive network of spies, he launched a series of covert operations aimed at undermining Alara's efforts. Sabotage was his silent weapon. Fuel refineries on distant moons exploded in spectacular fashion, supply lines were mysteriously cut, and local insurrections flared on border colonies. All seemingly disconnected events but orchestrated with meticulous care. Back on the Dreadnought, Alara faced her own battles. Each report of disruption forced her to confront the fragility of her position. Her resolve was tested with each new challenge, but it was the betrayal of a trusted colony leader that struck a harsh blow. A meeting designed to secure fuel and resources ended in an ambush, leaving several of her crew dead and her plans in disarray. Yet, amid these trials, an unexpected ally emerged. A coded message from a hidden supporter within Morix's ranks hinted at the existence of the general's secret weapon. Curiosity piqued, Alara decided to risk a covert operation, seeking to uncover details that might tilt the precarious balance of power back in her favor. Under the cover of nebula clouds that painted parts of the system in vibrant hues of purple and blue, a small team led by Alara herself ventured toward one of Morix's lesser-known military outposts. The outpost, a jagged structure clinging to a small asteroid, was rumored to hold critical information about the weapon. The infiltration was tense, a silent ballet performed in the vacuum of space. Each member of Alara's team was cloaked in stealth suits that mimicked the cold, rocky terrain. They moved with precision, aware that any misstep could lead to discovery and disaster. Inside the outpost, they navigated dimly lit corridors filled with the hum of alien technology that Morix had repurposed for his own ends. After what felt like an eternity, they reached the central data vault, guarded not by soldiers but by puzzles of logic and cryptography. Alara worked alongside her team, her fingers flying over holographic interfaces as they decoded layers of security with a mix of Federation tech and old-fashioned ingenuity. Success came with a soft chime, the last barrier giving way to reveal data streams that flowed like rivers of light. They detailed a weapon capable of disrupting starship navigation systems over vast distances, a tool that could cripple fleets unseen. Armed with this knowledge, Alara and her team made their escape, chased by the sound of alarms as their presence finally triggered the outpost's security systems. The return to the dreadnought was fraught with urgency. Alara knew that with this information, the tide of their silent war could finally turn in their favor. But as stars streaked past the viewports, reflecting off her determined eyes, she realized that the true battle was only just beginning. The depths of space around the Orione system throbbed with unseen currents of intrigue and deceit as Captain Alara Nox maneuvered through the treacherous waters of galactic politics and espionage. The information retrieved from the military outpost shed light on General Morix's sinister plans, yet it also painted a target on the backs of Alara and her crew. In the war room aboard the dreadnought, the atmosphere was tense, the air thick with anticipation and the metallic scent of electronics. Alara stood before the holographic map, her eyes tracing the web of potential alliances and threats that sprawled before her. Each planet, each moon was a piece in a complex game of chess that spanned the galaxy. The weapon's range is extensive, but it relies heavily on a network of relay stations, Alara explained to her senior officers. The room listened in rapt attention as she outlined a strategy to dismantle Morix's network, disrupting his ability to use the weapon effectively. Meanwhile, Morix, entrenched in his command center on Orione's Prime, was not idle. He sensed a shift in the tides, the stirrings of rebellion fueled by the legendary fleet's return. With cold efficiency, he activated his network of spies, embedding them within colonies and among Alara's ranks. His orders were simple yet ruthless: sow discord, gather intelligence, and eliminate key figures within the resistance. As Alara's fleet began targeting the relay stations, each skirmish was met with unexpected resistance. Saboteurs within her own fleet delayed launches and disabled weapon systems, their treachery timed to inflict maximum chaos. News of these setbacks reached Alara through hushed, urgent messages, each one a blow to her campaign's momentum. One such message led Alara to suspect a deeper network of betrayal than she had anticipated. Determined to root out the corruption, she turned to an unlikely source for help, a reclusive codebreaker named Dale, known for his peculiar methods and unmatched intellect. Dale, with his pale eyes and a penchant for solitude, worked from a cluttered lab deep within the ship, surrounded by ancient books and flickering screens. "Every spy leaves a shadow, Captain," Dale murmured as he tapped into the ship's surveillance systems, his fingers dancing across translucent keyboards. "And every shadow sings a song if you know how to listen." Under Dale's guidance, Alara initiated a silent purge, a careful extraction of the poison that had seeped into the lifeblood of her fleet. One by one, the traitors were uncovered: a navigator who tampered with coordinates, a mechanic who planted explosives near the engine rooms, a communications officer who relayed fleet movements to Morix. Each discovery was a painful reminder of the war's complexity. Amidst this turmoil, a coded transmission from a secretive ally offered a glimmer of hope. The message detailed a possible rendezvous with a group of defectors from Morix's regime, high-ranking officers disillusioned with their leader's tyranny. Seizing this opportunity, Alara arranged a meeting on the deserted moon of Velos, a barren rock marked only by the ruins of an ancient observatory. The meeting was fraught with risk, the moon's surface an eerie landscape of shadows and silver light. The defectors, cloaked and armed, emerged from their hiding spots among the crumbled stone, their leader, a grizzled general named Varric, stepping forward with a wary gaze. "We've seen enough bloodshed," Captain Knox, Varric declared, his voice rough with the scars of war. "Morix has lost his way, his vision consumed by power. We seek to restore honor to our ranks." With Varric's aid, Alara crafted a new plan, one that involved an intricate play of misdirection and stealth. As her fleet continued to feint attacks on the relay stations, a specialized team prepared to infiltrate Morix's central command, aiming to disable the weapon permanently. Each step was a move towards victory or utter defeat, the line between the two blurred by the swirling dance of spies and shadows. And as stars wheeled overhead, Alara felt the weight of the coming battle, knowing that her choices would shape the fate of the galaxy. The cosmos over the Orione system was a canvas of darkness pierced by the brilliant specks of distant stars, but nearer, among the fragmented moons of Talos, chaos reigned. The once serene celestial bodies, now shattered by ancient cosmic upheavals, served as the backdrop for a confrontation that might decide the fate of the galaxy. Here, Captain Alara Knox planned her most daring operation yet, the disruption of Morix Vel's command network, central to controlling his devastating weapon. The crew aboard the dreadnought felt the tension as sharply as the cold of space itself. Preparations for the upcoming battle were meticulous. Every soldier, pilot, and technician moved with a purpose sharpened by the urgency of their mission. Alara oversaw the coordination from the bridge, her figure a steadfast presence against the flickering holograms that displayed fleet formations and target trajectories. As the fleet approached the coordinates for the first relay station, hidden among the debris of the moons, the silence of space was ironically deafening. Alara's voice broke the stillness, clear and commanding through the comms. "All units, this is Captain Knox. Engage stealth protocols and proceed to your designated targets. Remember, the strength of the Federation is with us." The initial moments of the assault were a dance of shadows and light, as Federation ships weaved through the asteroid field. Stealth technology kept them hidden from enemy sensors, cloaking their approach as they moved closer to the unsuspecting relay stations. However, Morix, ever the cunning adversary, had anticipated such a move. He had laid a trap, embedding sensor nets and automated defense turrets throughout the moon's fractured terrain. As the first Federation ship crossed an invisible threshold, the serene ballet turned abruptly into a storm of fire and metal. Explosions tore through the void, brilliant and silent, as several Federation ships were caught off guard. Debris spiraled into the darkness, the remnants of once mighty vessels now reduced to cosmic refuse. Alara watched from the dreadnought, her jaw set, her resolve hardening. "Push forward," she ordered, her voice a calm amid the tempest. "Focus fire on the defense systems and clear a path." The battle escalated quickly as more Federation ships engaged, their weapons lighting up the space with deadly precision. Fighter squadrons darted between larger vessels and asteroid chunks, targeting the smaller defense drones that swarmed like deadly locusts. Amidst this chaos, a smaller team led by Alara herself undertook a perilous mission. In a nimble shuttle, they navigated through the debris field towards the central relay station, housed on the largest of the broken moons. This station was the nerve center of Morix's weapon control network, and its destruction was crucial. The shuttle landed in a crater, the landscape around it a testament to violent celestial events of the past. The team disembarked, moving swiftly under the cover of rocky outcrops. They were shadows among shadows, their presence betrayed only by the occasional glint of armor under the dim light of a distant sun. Inside the relay station, the corridors were stark and angular, illuminated by the harsh light of emergency strips. The air was stale, heavy with the metallic scent of electronics. Alara led her team with practiced calm, her every sense alert to the dangers that lurked in the quiet. As they approached the main control room, they encountered resistance. Morix's soldiers, forewarned by the battle outside, were prepared. A firefight ensued, the confined space echoing with the sounds of blaster fire and shouted commands. Using a combination of tactical ingenuity and sheer determination, Alara's team overcame the defenders. They secured the control room, where banks of servers pulsed with the lifeblood of the weapons network. Quickly, the team's tech specialists set to work, interfacing with the system to initiate a shutdown sequence. Outside, the battle reached its zenith as the Federation fleet, inspired by Alara's daring, rallied and redoubled their efforts. The tide turned slowly in their favor as the destruction of the relay station caused a cascading failure in Morix's defense network. As the last enemy turret was silenced, and the skies above the broken moons cleared, Alara allowed herself a moment of relief. But it was short-lived. The victory was significant, yet she knew Morix would not crumble so easily. The war was far from over, and each victory brought its own set of consequences and new challenges. As Alara gazed out at the battlefield, now calm and drifting with the silent echoes of the conflict, she realized the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. But one thing was clear: the Federation had survived this day, and under her leadership, it would continue to fight for its place among the stars. The aftermath of the Battle of Broken Moons hung over the Orione system like a specter. In the quiet that followed the storm, the void was littered with the remnants of what had been a fierce and costly engagement. Captain Alara Knox surveyed the scene from the bridge of the dreadnought, her eyes reflecting the starlight that flickered through the debris field. The victory was theirs, but the cost was etched into every face aboard her ship. In the shadow of General Morix Fell's impending countermove loomed large. With Morix's network partially dismantled, the balance of power had shifted, but Alara knew that the war was far from won. She convened with her closest advisors and the recently allied defectors led by General Varric. Together, they crafted a plan not just to fend off Morix's forces but to take the fight directly to him, to strike at the heart of his power on Orione's prime. Morix will be expecting a direct assault, Varric explained, his voice gravelly from years of command. He knows you'll come for him, Captain, but he won't expect an infiltration, not into the core of his command center. The strategy was bold, a mix of subterfuge and brute force. While the bulk of Alara's fleet would engage Morix's armada in a feigned frontal assault, a small strike team would infiltrate Orione's prime, using the chaos as cover to disable Morix's weapon permanently and, if possible, capture the tyrant himself. The dreadnought hummed with activity as preparations commenced. Every soldier and pilot knew the stakes. This could be the turning point of the war, for better or worse. Alara felt the weight of their gazes, the unspoken trust they placed in her decisions. She met their looks with a nod of assurance, though the gnawing in her gut spoke of the risks they were all about to take. The assault began under the cloak of darkness, space's eternal night pierced only by the flashes of artillery and the engines of battlecruisers. Alara's fleet moved with precision, drawing Morix's forces out into open space. The battle was a masterpiece of tactical execution, every ship, every maneuver serving its purpose in the larger dance of war. Meanwhile, the strike team, cloaked in stealth technology, made its approach to Orione's prime. The planet loomed large and ominous, its surface a tapestry of sprawling military complexes and stark landscapes. The team shuttle, a small speck against the vastness of the planetary defenses, slipped through the orbital grid, the silence of their approach a stark contrast to the chaos erupting in space. On the surface, the team disembarked, their suits blending seamlessly with the rocky terrain. Led by Captain Knox herself, they moved with the stealth of shadows, avoiding patrols and slipping through the outer defenses of Morix's command center, a fortress built into the side of a massive crater. Inside, the facility was a labyrinth of corridors and security checkpoints. Alara and her team used every trick in their arsenal, from hacked security codes to silent takedowns, to advance toward the core of the command center. The tension was palpable, each step forward a risk of discovery and potential disaster. Finally, they reached the heart of the facility, where Morix's weapon control was housed. The room was a stark, brightly lit contrast to the dim corridors they had navigated. Panels of flashing lights and holographic displays filled the space, and at its center, the weapon's core, a pulsing orb of energy contained within a lattice of containment fields. The tech specialist in the team, a young engineer named Mika, set to work immediately, her fingers flying over the control panels as she initiated the shutdown sequence. Every second was critical, and as the containment fields began to flicker and dim, the reality of their mission's success became tangible. But the victory was not without its final confrontation. As the weapon powered down, General Morix Fell himself appeared, flanked by his elite guards. The ensuing battle was brief but intense, a clash of desperation and resolve. Alara faced Morix, their history as former comrades adding weight to every blow exchanged. In the end, it was Morix's underestimation of Alara's resolve that led to his downfall. He was taken alive, his reign brought to an abrupt end. With the weapon disabled and Morix captured, Alara's team exfiltrated under the cover of the ongoing space battle, which, with the news of Morix's capture, quickly tilted in favor of the Federation. As they returned to the dreadnought, the feeling aboard was one of cautious elation. They had achieved what many had thought impossible. But even in victory, Alara knew that the war's true end was rebuilding what had been lost, healing the wounds of a galaxy torn by conflict. As the dust settled over the Orione system, the stark silence of space was punctuated by the gentle hum of the dreadnought's engines. Captain Alara Knox stood before the panoramic viewport of her flagship, watching the last of General Morixfel's warship surrender. The victory was palpable, but so was the cost, visible in the debris fields that orbited the war-torn planets like mournful sentinels. With Morix now a prisoner and his weapon of mass destruction neutralized, the Orione system, once a beacon of human expansion and progress, stood on the cusp of a new era. However, Alara knew that the true challenge lay ahead, rebuilding trust and governance in a system scarred by years of tyranny and war. The task began with forging a provisional government. Alara convened a council comprising leaders from each of the system's inhabited worlds, along with representatives from the Federation and the defectors who had helped turn the tide of the battle. They met aboard the Dreadnought, in a room that overlooked the planet where so much had been sacrificed for their cause. The discussions were intense and fraught with the complexities of post-war governance. Debates raged over the distribution of resources, the restructuring of planetary defenses, and the trials of those complicit in Morix's regime. Through it all, Alara remained a pillar of strength, mediating disputes with a firm hand and a clear vision. "We stand at the threshold of a new beginning," Alara addressed the council, her voice resonant and imbued with the gravity of their task. "Let us build not just a system of governance, but a beacon of hope for all humanity." Gradually, a framework for governance emerged, one that promised fair representation and prioritized the rebuilding of infrastructure and the healing of communities. As the new governance charter was signed, there was a palpable sense of accomplishment, but also the acknowledgement of the fragility of peace. In the weeks that followed, Alara oversaw the implementation of the new systems. She visited the planets of the Orione system, not as a conqueror but as a liberator. On each world, she was met with crowds whose expressions bore the marks of hardship but also the glimmers of hope. Her speeches were broadcast across the system, inspiring a collective effort towards reconstruction. On Delos, a mining planet whose inhabitants had suffered greatly under Morix's rule, Alara initiated a project to rebuild the mines with safety and sustainability in mind. On Delos, where the final battle had raged, she established a memorial to honor both the fallen of the recent conflict and those lost in past wars. However, peace did not mean the absence of challenges. Dissident factions arose, remnants of Morix's loyalists who sought to undermine the new order. Alara responded not with oppression but with diplomacy and, when necessary, decisive action to protect the fragile peace. As the first anniversary of the liberation approached, a grand ceremony was planned on Orione's Prime, the heart of the system. The event was attended by dignitaries from across the Federation, and the streets were filled with citizens eager to witness the celebration of their freedom. Alara stood before the assembly, her uniform adorned with medals but her eyes reflecting the somber knowledge of the cost at which they had been earned. "Today, we celebrate not the triumph of war, but the promise of peace," she declared, her voice echoing through the crowded square. "Let us remember those who sacrificed their lives for this moment and honor them by building a future worthy of their courage." As the ceremony concluded, the crowd erupted in applause, a sound that carried across the reconstructed cities and into the homes of those who had dared to dream of this day. Alara looked out over the sea of faces, allowing herself a moment to soak in the realization that they had indeed turned a page in the annals of history. Later, as night fell over Orione's Prime, Alara returned to her quarters aboard the Dreadnought. Alone, she allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. The galaxy was vast, and the future uncertain, but for now, they had achieved something miraculous. With a deep, exhausted breath, she turned from the window, ready to face whatever challenges the stars held next.